Welcome to the Chaka Strategy Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Chaka Strategy Podcast with Chaka Patterson. Chaka's a legal career strategist, former public company general counsel, former Fortune 100 treasurer and head of investor relations, and former AmLaw 50 partner who helps lawyers turn their legal expertise into business impact. I'm Sean O'Connor, and today Chaka and I are talking about speaking the language of business as a lawyer. Chaka, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I love this conversation. I love this idea of lawyers becoming fluent in business, and I know we're not just talking about jargon here. Mastering the next acronym. What does it mean from your point of view for a lawyer to speak the language of business?
Yeah. So what it really means is that they really understand how the business operates, how the business makes money, how the business is positioned in their industry to either take advantage of tailwinds or get out in front of headwinds. And so most of that is going to be the underpinnings of that knowledge is typically going to be some version of finance and accounting, right? Because you don't have to be a finance person, you don't have to be an accounting person, you don't have to be an MBA, but you do have to understand the fundamentals. And the good news is investing in learning the fundamentals puts you so well positioned to really connect your legal expertise to business impact.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We spoke earlier about, the onslaught or the encroachment, development, however you want to call it, AI, and taking many, how many people do I talk to, attorneys that I talk to, or clients come to them and they've tried to do something using AI, right? Like it's just happening everywhere. And so, and the CEO.
Yeah, you can imagine a world in which if you are already frustrated with your lawyers, or you just don't see your lawyers as business people, right? As strategic business partners, you just see them as the necessary cost center.
Yeah.
Then it would make perfect sense to go to AI, get your legal strategic thinking there, and present it to your lawyers. How embarrassing is that to the legal department, right? So,
right.
I'm looking
it's already happening,
right.
As we speak. Why do you think lawyers struggle to communicate with executives, like in terms of seeing eye to eye and in a way that resonates? Because it doesn't seem to me to be that difficult. But
yeah, it is largely a function of our legal training, right? And it really comes in two flavors. One is we are trained to lead with the legal issue and to be very precise and very thorough.
Facts
On the legal issue. And so as a result, and that is because for most of our careers, we're only talking to other lawyers, right? If you are an associate in a law firm, you're only talking to partners.
Right.
If you're a partner, you're basically talking to in-house lawyers, right? If you're a prosecutor, you're talking to defense lawyers. If you're a defense lawyer, you're talking to prosecutors, right?
And it's a little bit of an echo chamber.
It's an echo chamber. And so you get taught to communicate in a certain way that then you walk into a room full of business people, and that is not at all how they communicate.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating about it, to me, and obviously frustrating to business people, is it's really common sense, right? So if you walked into a room full of Spanish speakers and you decided to speak in some language other than Spanish, you would not expect to be understood or well received.
Right. And
But
well, the
for
flip side of that too is the Spanish speakers wouldn't necessarily expect you to understand everything they were saying.
right,
And I think, you and I have touched on this before. I don't think it's in a lawyer's inherent DNA to be like, can you explain that to me?
that's right. That's exactly right.
Lawyers, evidence, facts, certainty, anti-speculation, conjecture. Business is a lot of like, you don't have all the information you need. There is some speculation, risk-taking. It feels this way. It, projects a lot of crystal balling. I think that's more common vernacular of the business world. And I think lawyers, based on their training and the way the legal system works, that's like, we don't go there.
Yeah, I agree. We are just vastly differently trained. Business people are trained to take risks, to manage uncertainty. When I was in-house at a utility, and then eventually switched over to the business side where I was treasurer and head of investor relations. And I remember talking to the general counsel, and I just pulled him aside and I said, "Hey, listen, this is just a piece of advice. It's a utility. We literally make money based on managing the weather. Let that sink in. We make money managing the weather, the most uncertain thing that there is. So when you sit at the table and you say, I can't predict how a deal is going to unfold or how a piece of litigation is going to unfold, you have lost the entire room because you're sitting in a room full of people who manage the weather."
Yeah. Well, and speaking of, sitting in a room giving advice, what, from your point of view, what's the difference between, say, giving legal advice versus business advice?
Yeah, so legal advice asks, can we do this? Business advice asks, is it wise to do it? And if so, can we do it well?
Yeah, should we do this? Oh, interesting. But then I would think a lawyer's training would be powerful or useful in sort of gaming those out. Like, well, if you do this, this is what's going to happen, and if you do this, this is what's going to. To me, that seems like a great place to leverage the expertise of attorney training.
Yeah, so as it turns out, we are not trained to do that, and that's one of the, I think, most frustrating parts of being a business person in a business, getting legal advice, is that lawyers, to my earlier example about the GC and the utility,
Yeah.
lawyers do not like to predict, to provide probabilities.
Right.
We are trained to provide certainty. And to the extent that we get pressed, then we hedge, we caveat, we blame outside counsel, right? We do everything to avoid accountability for the probabilities. And so one of the things I teach my coaching clients is how to do probabilities, right? There's all kinds of tools out there that allow you to do probabilities and do them well, and then construct decision trees and decision tree analysis that allows you to speak like your business clients and really put yourself in a position where we are jointly problem solving.
Yeah, well, that's it too. It's like, help me. I'm asking you for help, and often I've found this in companies I've worked for where you couldn't get an idea through legal. I was in the marketing realm, and you go to legal, and all they see, it's their job. All they see is risk and exposure and liability and lawsuits. And, in marketing, we're like, yeah, we're trying to we're trying to do something new here. And they can be at odds. I'm wondering, how can lawyers present legal advice in a way that is helpful to business leaders in making decisions, as opposed to, I think, appearing as a roadblock sometimes,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yeah, and I think you hit on it. I'll go a step further. I think lawyers in particularly in-house think that's their role is to identify risks and problems and concerns and red flags.
yeah,
It's not. That's not the job at all. The job is literally to sit shoulder to shoulder with marketing and say, okay, tell me what the campaign is about. What is it that we're trying to do?
mm-hmm.
How much money do you think we're going to make doing it? Okay, let's talk about all the ways it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Some things we need to keep our eyes on as we do it.
Yeah, could go wrong.
Right? And off ramps if we run into some of the challenges that we've identified, or touch points where we have a plan B if plan A runs into some of the challenges that we've identified here.
Yeah,
but our job is to enable business, not to prevent it. And I think a lot of times people in the legal department have not made the switch from being outside to inside. Like, you work here too. You're an employee.
Are we on the same team here or not?
Because we're on the same team.
A lot of the dynamics, you don't feel like they're on the same team. I'm wondering, you mentioned, Chaka, I know you're coaching attorneys and helping them overcome some of these sort of self-imposed or inflicted limitations. What are some common communication mistakes that you see that cause lawyers to lose credibility with other executives in the organization?
Yeah, so I would say the number one thing is leading with the problem or a problem, then describing it in legalese, a language only lawyers speak, and then expecting everybody in the room to see it as obviously and as clearly as you think you see it. And to me, like I tell my coaching clients all the time, like, listen, this is no different than when you go to the doctor and your back hurts. And next thing you know, you're getting some version of the lumbar number 5 was supposed to be fused with vertebrae number 3. And the problem is, you don't speak that language. So this person is talking about your body and your health care, but they're speaking about it in a language you clearly don't understand. They know you don't understand. And so it really becomes a lecture, not joint problems, right? It can't be a conversation because only one of us speaks that language. So it becomes a lecture, and lectures don't normally lead to joint problem solving.
Right. Well, and then also there's the, like, just from a human point of view, like, are you flexing on me here? Like,
No, and I literally tell my coaching clients that all the time. I'm like, look, you're a repeat player with these same business people. So if you do that all the time, it really does feel like you're doing it intentionally. And it's incredibly disrespectful.
Well, it's just like that guy's obnoxious, whatever.
Right.
Speaking of that, the whole that's crazy. Okay, so let's say, you're a CEO, you're a CFO, you're a board member. What is it that these folks want to hear from their lawyers that they don't hear enough of?
How can the department of how can we get this done?
Right. Okay. Right. I hear the obstacles. Now, how do we?
Well, I wouldn't even leave with that's the fundamental problem, right? It's put the obstacles aside. This is how
Yeah.
We're going to get this done.
Right. Understand the business enough to be able to think it through, understand the financial ramifications you spoke of in a previous episode, and lead with the solution and let them say, well, why would you do it that way? Well, because over here, we'll get our asses sued. Oh, thanks for looking out for us.
Yeah, and I'd go one step further and say that to the extent you can, and you usually can, quantify the upside, quantify the downside, quantify the risks of the downside materializing. What will that do to the upside, and why we should still proceed anyway?
Yeah, that's great. I want to hear something. You can't share specifics, of course, but in your coaching practice and professional life, I'm wondering if you could share an example of an attorney who you worked with became significantly more effective after learning to communicate more like a business leader. We just have a couple minutes left, but I would love to hear that, and I'm sure people out there in the world would too.
Yeah, so there's a situation where a client of mine was advising the division of a business, and there had been a legislative change that was going to significantly impact the business. They were essentially going to have to take what were independent contractors and make them employees, which was going to significantly reduce their margins, and ultimately their profitability. And so, my client, working through the issue with them, first I was like, look, it's mid-budget cycle. So from a human perspective, you need to sit shoulder to shoulder with the business person and acknowledge the problem, right? The problem is, we're mid-budget, and
bad timing.
he and his team were expecting to generate X. If they make the change right now, they're going to generate something significantly less than X. They weren't expecting that. The business wasn't expecting that. So let's acknowledge that, number one. Number two, let's understand the landscape. What exactly does this do to the business's margins? And if we implemented it today, if we implemented it in 3 months, if we implemented it in 6 months, what does that look like from a margin perspective, from a profitability perspective? And how does that tie back to their goals, to the overall business's goals?
Yeah.
Then think about, okay, now that we understand the financial landscape, now let's look at what kind of legal advice do we want to provide them. So, for example, is this regulation designed to get them, or is it designed to get some huge player? And are the huge players going to sue? Can you just ride their coattails? Are they going to look to get some type of temporary relief? Is it an injunction or some other thing, so that it won't have to be implemented right now? It may be 3 months, 6 months. You may make it another year.
Yeah.
Is there a legislative carve out that you could pursue? Is there regulatory relief that you can get because your business is of a size that is not what the regulation was intended to pursue?
Yeah, interesting.
So, there were just a wide range of activities that the legal department could take on behalf of the business. So it felt like, hey, my lawyers are working for me because they understand my business. They understand the devastating impact this particular regulation is going to have on my business. We are jointly problem solving, versus the lawyers just walking in the room and saying, hey, there's this change in the law, you got to comply right away, and not even having a clue how the devastating impact on this person's business.
Yeah. Wow. Man, yeah. that other, the bad, the hey, take it or leave it scenario, that's awful. I mean, that's just that whole conversation and that analysis and the carve out and the legislation, and like, hold on, is this even targeting us? I mean, so insightful. Super interesting, Chaka. I can't wait till our next conversation. I'm really into this. I hope people are enjoying it. Thanks so much for your time and expertise, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of the Chaka Strategy Podcast with Chaka Patterson. If today's conversation resonated with you, go even deeper with Chaka's book, The Hot Seat: Mastering the Public Company General Counsel Role. Available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever you get your books. If you'd like to learn more about Chaka's workshops for legal teams, executive coaching, executive education courses, and other resources for legal professionals, visit his website, chakastrategy.com. I'm Sean O'Connor. As always, thanks for listening. It's helpful for us. It's helpful for other attorneys if you leave a review, give us a thumbs up, maybe subscribe so you don't miss future conversations on leadership, business strategy, and career growth for lawyers. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.